Today is March 18th, and it marks the 9th anniversary of the death of a friend of mine and my husband's, the novelist and television writer Henry Bromell. Um, this is Henry's novel, Little America, which I think is a masterpiece of explaining the American mind, the American anxiety, the American aspiration to be good, the American faults in making that aspiration into an unshakable belief that there is only goodness and there is no shadow and there are no mistakes. Henry's father was in the company, the CIA. It was something Henry didn't know growing up always. So there were a lot of secrets. And we know that family secrets can be very damaging and mostly confusing because people can't quite get at the truth. And yet it was a wonderful life in many ways for Henry as a child, as our lives as Americans are often wonderful. And yet, as we search for the truth, it can be very painful, but it's also absolutely necessary. And I think unconsciously and very consciously, that's why Henry, as a great writer, had to write this book about his coming of age during the Vietnam years, when his father was stationed in the Middle East. And it's a beautiful book for any, the Beatles are in it, and the times of experimentation with marijuana when you're a teenager are in it. And yet underneath it, this anxiety: is my father a good man or a bad man? And his father was a good man. But what being good meant when you're trying to control world events, and inevitably that leads to death, to betrayal. This is the subject of Henry's book, and I'm sorry he's gone. We used to meet for Mexican food down in the Santa Monica, down in Rustic Canyon in Santa Monica, and he wasn't making that much money at the time. And I'll remember he always said I was so generous because I would pick up the tab, this little Mexican restaurant. After that, Henry became a television producer and he did very well. But I think his heart was always in literature. He had won a lot of awards just coming out of Amherst College, and everybody envied him. He was going to be the successful one. But his life, to me, still is a great American life of a great American novelist. And Henry, I miss you. And I hope at least one of you listening to this picks up Little America and reads it. It will enrich your sense of self as an American or as a world citizen. And may we all still aspire to be good, to not make these mistakes, to know that the end doesn't justify the means, and that to have peace, you need to be the change you want to see.